Amandla. Viva ANC, viva. Viva COSATU, viva. Viva SACP, viva. Viva Sanko, viva. Malibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. Roar, young lions, roar. Roar, young lions, roar. Amandla. Comrades, dumelang. Limadekwana. Riperile. Sanbonan. Kele thabo lele hulu hunna ukuthola lesisikhathi sokuba nani lapha. I want to greet the leadership of the African National Congress at national level, provincial level, as well as at regional and local level as well. I also greet the leadership of the ANC Women's League, the ANC Youth League, the Veterans League, and also the leadership of our alliance partners. Noma abanye bengekho. I-South African Communist Party, i-COSATU, neSANCO. Comrades, this is not a night for celebration. This is a night for reflection. But more importantly, it's a night when we, as the leadership of the ANC, a leadership that has also come from our provinces, would like to extend our thanks and gratitude to the people of South Africa, to the members of the African National Congress, to the supporters of the African National Congress, but also more importantly, to our volunteers who are gathered here tonight. 100 days ago, it feels like 100 years already. 100 days have passed since the members of the Government of National Unity were sworn into office. The establishment, comrades, of the GNU was a historic occasion, bringing together into one administration, the 7th administration, parties from across the political spectrum. As we mark this moment, we reflect on the establishment of the GNU. We also reflect on the progress that has been made to bring stability into our country since the 29th May elections. Yes, we reflect on the work that has been done, particularly in carrying out the mandate of the people for transformation, inclusive growth, and the creation of jobs. And on this occasion, yes, we recognize the decision of the people of South Africa, who made it clear to all of us and to the African National Congress that they would like us to work together. The results of our elections showed that while acknowledging the progress that has been made during the first 3 decades of our democracy, from 1994, the citizens of South Africa are deeply concerned about the state of our country. They are concerned about our economy, an economy that has not been growing, but also an economy that is not inclusive, that does not include everyone. The people of our country made it clear that they are concerned about unemployment, they are concerned about poverty and the inequality that continues in our country. Now, through the elections, the voters expressed their concern also about the delivery of basic services and the quality of governance. Importantly, the people of South Africa also sent a clear message about the state of the African National Congress itself. They said that our movement needed to give full meaning and effect to the whole process of renewal and rebuilding and unity. Many of our people recognize that, yes, progress has been made, but they also feel that we have not done enough. They are not convinced that the advances that we have made will not be reversed. Today, on this day of reflection, we must say that having established the government of national unity, we are firm on saying that the ANC will continue to lead the fundamental transformation of our country and society, whether they like it or not. Bayathanda noma bathandi kuzawenzeka. This is what the ANC has committed itself to. And today, as we thank our people, we also want to assure them that the ANC remains committed to ensuring that our manifesto, as adopted by the National Executive Committee and by various structures, the Alliance and all, will be implemented. Yes, we have had, comrades, to acknowledge that the outcome of the 2024 elections was a strategic setback for our movement. It is the first time since the advent of democracy that the ANC did not achieve an outright majority at national level and also in some provinces. However, as the party that received the most votes nationally and in 7 provinces, we are the ones who our people looked upon to give leadership and to act in the best interests of our country and its people. The ANC was the first to say, we accept the results of the elections and the decision of our people. That in itself showed leadership. It showed maturity on our part. And people have said that in other countries, when the governing party loses its majority, sometimes they refuse to accept the will of the people. In South Africa, that is led by the African National Congress, we made it clear that we accept the decision of our people and the will of our people because we respect our people. Having done so, comrades, we had a number of choices. One of them was whether the ANC should go into opposition. Siyohlala kuma opposition benches because we did not attain 50 plus 1%. Yes, when you have not attained 50 plus 1%, one of your choices is to go into opposition, uyohlala le emuva, and see how best you can regain ground. One of the choices was to lead, to provide leadership, to lead a government of national unity, and to invite the other parties and say to them, as our people have decided, let us work together. We opted for giving leadership. The ANC could not sit on its laurels and not do anything to lead this country forward. The ANC has always given leadership to South Africa. From 1912, when the ANC was formed, that act of forming the ANC was to give leadership to South Africa. The act of drafting and accepting the Freedom Charter was giving leadership. The act of embarking on the armed struggle was to give leadership. And the act of getting into negotiations leading up to the democratic elections in 1994 was the ANC once again providing leadership. And today, in 2024, the ANC was called upon to provide leadership. And we have provided the leadership and invited all other parties to be part of a government of national unity. That is what the ANC has done, to give leadership. So, comrades, we gave leadership to ensure stability. We also gave leadership to make sure that we advance transformation and that we address the concerns of our people. We agreed that an inclusive government held the best prospects to move our country forward. We saw this as an opportunity to work with other political parties to address the challenges that confront South Africa. And comrades, asikali, we are not starting today to work with other parties. In 1994, Utatu Nelson Mandela led us in working with other parties. We have been working with other parties in a number of provinces. We've been working with other parties in our local government institutions. So asingabo omafikizolo kudala siyenza lento. And where we work with other parties, in the end, the ANC, not arrogantly, not trying to praise ourselves. Yes, we do provide influence, we do provide leadership, and we do provide guidance in the interests of the people of South Africa. And in doing all this work, comrades, I would like to thank our negotiators who day and night, after the elections and it became clear that we had not won 50 plus 1%, executed the mandate of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. Lento siyenzayo GNU akusi construction ika Razzmatazz, akusi construction ika Cyril Ramaphosa. It is what the African National Congress NEC decided should be done. And I want to thank our negotiators who were led by Secretary General wethu. Ningampekeli phansi lo SG wenu. Uyakwazi ukuthetha. uyakwazi ukunegotiator. He worked with other comrades who are here, who I will not be able to name because there are so many of them. And we thank them for having made sure that indeed we do come up with a workable agreement, a statement of intent that in many ways represents the objectives that our people have and what the African National Congress has been mandated to execute in the interest of our people. This moment, comrades, is also an opportunity to mobilize across society and across political difference to build a country that is truly united, a country that belongs to all who live in it. It is an opportunity to take forward the struggle to build a society in which all our people may be able to prosper and to thrive. We thank all political parties who agreed to be part of this journey, who came together acting in the interests of our country. We went into the GNU knowing full well that we have significant ideological and political differences with some of the parties. Exactly what we had in 1994. In 1994, we went into a government of national unity with a party that represented apartheid, our oppressors, and we agreed that to take South Africa forward, we would work together with them. Today, we are in a GNU with 9 other parties, and some of those parties we have major ideological differences with. We knew that there were fundamental issues on which we differed, and that were bound to bring about tensions and strains in the government of national unity. But we also know from many decades of experience that the ANC comrades has the strategic clarity and the political capacity to work alongside a wide range of those in pursuit of progressive goals. Ngoba asibasabi, arebasabi, ibile re abatle wozani, sizawusebenza nani, siphinde sinisebenze nani. That is how we work. Ultimately, the GNU comrades should not be judged by the political orientation of the parties that constitute this administration, but it should be judged by the impact that it will make on the lives of the poor and working people of South Africa. Since the elections, South Africans from all walks of life have rallied behind the objectives, the programs, and the work that the GNU has embarked upon. But they've largely rallied around the implementation of the statement of intent. And both as individuals and through their various formations, our people have made a commitment to work alongside the government to build an inclusive economy. And already we can see in the surveys, there are many surveys that are being published that show that the majority of South Africans have embraced the government of national unity. The majority of South Africans have accepted the notion of the GNU that we should all work together. And the people of South Africa are demonstrating their support for the principles and the minimum program that is contained in the statement of intent. signed by the parties of the GNU. Now, the surveys also tell us that a number of people are also warming up to the ANC. They are beginning to say, yes, we support this movement. And comrades, this is a moment that we should use to increase the standing of the ANC. This is the moment that we should use to ensure that the ANC continues to lead society. The people of South Africa still love the African National Congress. That is clear. They still have a deep love affair with the African National Congress. Now, as members, as leaders, we must go out to our people and say, give us the love back. Sifuna i-love back. Uyayazi ukuthi i-love back isebenza kanjani. Uma ningasazwani omunye uyaya uthi I want your love back, sithandwa sami. That's what we should be doing. We should use this moment of the government of national unity to strengthen the African National Congress. We should use this moment to strengthen our branches, to rebuild our branches from the bottom, branch by branch, zone by zone, region by region, and province by province, so that the African National Congress ibuyele kulesiya situlo sayo sokuphatha lelizwe. So comrades, this is a moment that we should utilize. This statement of intent, comrades, describes the essential features of our national agenda for the next 5 years. It provides a platform for the continuation and the intensification of the fundamental transformation of our economy and society. A government of national unity, comrades, it's not starting from scratch. It is continuing with the work that was done by the African National Congress in the 6th administration, in the 5th administration, in the 4th administration, and in the 1st administration. And nabo bayavuma bathi yo i-ANC beyisebenza. Now bayabona ukuthi the ANC was working, and today senze umsebenzi wabo ukuthi ube lula, but umsebenzi wethu umsebenzi ka-ANC. So that is what we must strengthen. The GNU, comrades, has identified 3 strategic priorities. Firstly, to drive inclusive growth and job creation. Job creation is at the top of our agenda. Comrade Colin Malachi and the ANC Youth League proudly led a massive march to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange in demand for employment. And we support them. We stand behind our young people, and we applaud them for having led a huge march to the stock exchange. We applaud them because, much as we have included it in the statement of intent, what they are saying is that we want the government of national unity to speed up the process of job creation, so that kube nemisebenzi, so that we fulfill what we set out in our manifesto. What we have now done is to make this demand for employment creation to be a priority of the government of national unity. That is an important development. Labo abati, oh, we are going to be diverted. The National Democratic Revolution is going to be defeated. Sitiguni, there is now clear acceptance on the priorities of the African National Congress. They are now the priorities of the Government of National Unity. And that is one thing that we must recognize. Secondly, the second priority is to reduce poverty and to tackle the high cost of living, and to get the 9 parties to recognize that, yes, we must reduce poverty. Poverty that mainly affects our people is something that we must recognize and appreciate. Thirdly, we said we want to build a capable and ethical developmental state. Comrades, these priorities are closely aligned to the 6 priorities areas of the ANC 2024 manifesto. Ezethu lezi priorities. So abantu abasabayo abangabazayo, sithi kini, the priorities of the GNU are also the priorities of the African National Congress. And we now have many people who are in the GNU who are chanting and articulating precisely all these priorities. There is not a single one who is opposed to these priorities. Now, the 100 days since the establishment of the GNU have seen a marked improvement in the confidence among South Africans. The sentiment among ordinary people as well as investors is positive. Investors are saying we are now looking at the economy of South Africa as an economy that can grow. Because in the end, comrades, we need to grow this economy. This economy must grow so that it can create jobs. We need to grow this economy so that we can re-industrialize. We need to grow this economy so that we can build new factories, so that our people, especially young people, can get jobs. Nalabo who are over 35, ngihlala ngithi nabo asizobashiya ngoba sifuna ukuthi nabo bayithola imisebenzi. Uma sikhuluma ngemisebenzi sithi kuColin Malachi ne-Youth League sithi yebo sifuna imisebenzi for nina nalabo aba over 35 ukuthi nabo bayithola imisebenzi. Now, comrades, the prospects for growth in our economy have really improved. We have entered a new era of promise and a new era of hope. This is not just based on wishful thinking, but on real progress that has been made since the election. We have made important progress on the first priority of the ANC manifesto, which is a jobs plan to put South Africans to work. During the 100 days of the GNU, government has been working to expand and also to institutionalize the presidential employment stimulus, the expanded public works program, and other initiatives under the presidential youth employment intervention. We want these interventions to grow. We want these interventions, yes, to ensure that those who don't have skills do get skills so that our people can be trained and be able to be employable in the economy of their own countries. Now, these programs that we are continuing with will provide income, will provide job opportunities, as well as skills development for young people and the older people. we have signed the Public Procurement Act, which includes set-asides for women, young people, and people with disabilities. So we are going to be focusing through Imteto on ensuring that the procurement, there is set-aside so that every department in government, both at national, provincial, and local government, they should know that when they go out to procure, to buy services, to buy goods, they must focus on those set-asides for women, for young people, and for people with disabilities. Our manifesto said that we would protect and uphold the hard-won rights of workers. We said we would continually strive to improve the working and living conditions of the working people of our country. Now, since the 100 days, the Department of Employment and Labor has undertaken a proactive program of inspecting workplaces. Bayahamba bangena from workplace to workplace. This is to ensure that the employers comply with the labor laws of our country. They comply with the minimum wage and the safety conditions. And we applaud the Department of Labor and Employment in what they are doing, because it is wrong that so many workplaces that we visited, including large companies, have such lax approach to the rights of workers and our labor laws. And city, a labor department, go ahead and go and inspect a number of companies so that they must be brought to book. Kube nomthetho lapha kukhona kwamalume la uzenzela yona into oyithandayo. Kuse South Africa and kunemithetho, and they must comply with the labor laws of our country. We have done much work in giving effect to the second priority of the manifesto, which is to build an inclusive economy through industrialization and infrastructure development. Now, as part of our response to COVID-19, we put in place the economic recovery plan during the 6th administration so as to deal with the impact of that devastating pandemic. And we have now continued, we are continuing to make sure that we focus on infrastructure. And working together with our social partners, we are beginning to see the green shoots of an economy that is on the road to recovery. And through the effective implementation of our energy action plan, in load shedding, we are now seeing it way behind us. Aisabiko load shedding. And we thank our comrades who've been working on this. This is part of the progress that is continuing. We have made important strides to make sure that we keep the lights on, and ESCOM continues to implement the things that it needs to work on. So, comrades, in many, many ways, we are also focusing on the issue of corruption. Corruption is being focused on in a more focused ways. And in doing so, comrades, we are advancing what we set out in the statement of intent, and we are focusing on a number of economic reforms that were started in the 6th administration through the Operation Vulindlela, which in many ways was also initiated by Comrade Tito Mboweni, who sadly has passed away. And we want to honor him by ensuring that the work that he started continues in bringing about the reforms that are necessary in our economy. Now, as we continue to engage with investors, we want them to focus on the productive side of the economy. We are implementing our industrial policy with renewed vigor. Yes, we want to make sure that we get to a point where the minerals that we mine in our country are beneficiated so that we no longer export soil, rocks, and dust. We export finished products. And that message is sinking. We even dealt with that message at the United Nations. We are dealing with it at the African Union. We are dealing with it in SADC. And we are going to make sure that, yes, it becomes a reality that there is beneficiation, and our industrial policy supports this whole process of beneficiation. So, comrades, we continue to ensure that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, where we are going to be able to export many, many goods to the rest of our continent, continues. We want to make sure that we trade with our African sister countries, and that is part of growing our economy and making sure that indeed we do get an economy that is growing. The third priority of our manifesto was to tackle the high cost of living. We are beginning to see some relief for consumers with regard to the prices of basic goods. We have seen the reduction in the petrol price, due in part to the strengthening of the rand, and the setting up of the Government of National Unity also contributed to the strengthening of the rand, and that leads to the decrease of a number of import prices, particularly petrol. And that is why we have also seen the reduction in the petrol price. While there's been a decline in some food prices, the Competition Commission has noted that there are some food prices that are still high. And comrades, we continue in a number of other areas to ensure that we introduce new ways of doing things. For instance, the school nutrition program, which feeds over 9 million children. We are grateful that the Department of Basic Education is now going to add another meal, a breakfast, as a meal to feed our children. That too represents progress. And our government will continue with the SRD fund to make sure the SRD grant, and we expect that we will be advancing to another level of a grant. And we are calling on government to make sure that we expedite this. Another progress area has been in improving the commuter rail lines. IPRASA has not been working very hard to make sure that our commuter lines or railway lines and passengers are now beginning to go back to using rail, the trains, and we now see millions of our commuters going back to utilizing the trains. That is the progress that was started in the 6th administration, and it continues. Those reforms are going ahead. So, comrades, we also want to see an improvement in the quality of basic services that are given to our people. Basic services such as water, refuse collection, and we are going to be making sure that our municipalities do give our people good basic services. Our councillors and our mayors should focus on improving the services that they deliver to our people. We are pleased that Ekurhuleni and in Johannesburg, They have new ANC mayors, and we applaud them and we wish them the very best so that they can improve services here. In the last 100 days, we signed the Bela Act, the Basic Education Law Amendment. Lena upanyaza, wailuge mobilizer for yona, si signile. Now, the new legislation is going to ensure that we improve our education system. We also ensure that there is access to education right across the board without any form of discrimination, without any form of preventing our children from entering into any of the schools in our country. But it is also going to make sure that, yes, we focus on early childhood development. Abantwana bethu, they must start being educated from as early as 4 years old. They must start going to schools. And we are going to proceed with that. And of course, in executing the Bela Act, we have allowed a period, a very brief period of 3 months to finalize 2 provisions. And that is a process in which negotiations, and we want the ANC to also get involved in those negotiations so that we can get an education system that can serve all our children. We also signed the NHI Act, NHI that is going to ensure that there is equal access to health has been signed into law. And yona is our implementwa, yona NHI. We are just making sure that those who may well have had issues come forward, but we want to make it clear that we are going to implement the national health system. At the same time, we continue to engage with everyone. Several ministers in the GNU have been working with provinces and local government in the spirit of cooperative governance to resolve a number of issues, and we should applaud that. At the same time, we will continue to make efforts to ensure that the ANC deployees in all levels of government do their work, whether they are ministers, whether they are MECs, whether they are premiers, whether they are councillors. They must continue doing their work. We've also said that we must strengthen the monitoring and evaluation in the ANC corner, la Elutuli House, la umbax ati kuphathe yena. Whoa. Mbax kuti kuphathe wena kuphathe i-ANC. So comrades, the GNU gives us a great opportunity and a great moment so that we can advance the interests of our people. And we are also bringing about influence on all the other members of the GNU so that we continue to protect and advance the rights of those who are vulnerable in society, including children, the elderly, persons with disabilities. And we are committed to upholding the rights of members of the LGBTQIA+ community. Now, October is an important month to the LGBTQIA+ community. They held their October Pride March, and we congratulate Soweto on the 20th anniversary of its Pride March and welcome the Pride Marches across the country to advance the rights of those communities that are vulnerable, particularly against homophobia. the emancipation of women, comrades, remains one of the cornerstones of our society that we wish to advance and to build. And we celebrate achievements that are taking women to a higher level of leadership. We celebrate also, for instance, the appointment and the inauguration of the country's first female Chief Justice in South Africa. That is a moment that we should celebrate. At the same time, we must intensify our efforts to end gender-based violence and femicide. GBV, comrades, must not only be the task of the ANC Women's League, it must be our collective task, where we call upon men to respect the women of our country. La sicela khona madoda gore ba kwale dizipi tsa bona. Ba ska ba tsamaya ba butse dizipi ba reipa basadi. Re a re tlhompheng basadi ba naga ena, so that we get rid of gender-based violence in South Africa. We must also, in the end, reduce and remove the gender pay gap, because we still find that in a number of places, women are paid less than men. And we say to companies, get rid of that bad practice. Pay women who do exactly the same work as men, exactly the same. We must work together to reverse the recent dip in the representation of women in our parliament. Also in a number of formations of government. In parliament now, we're seeing a lesser number of women. We need to attend to that. We welcome the vigor with which our Minister of Police and the criminal justice system as a whole are moving to tackle crime and corruption. And we welcome the cooperation that is taking place with communities, with business, with private security companies on effective crime prevention strategies. We are making headway across the criminal justice system in our fight against corruption, yes, against criminality. We continue to implement, yes, the various recommendations of the State Capture Commission. And we will keep the pressure on. We will leave no quarter unmoved. We made a commitment, comrades, to build an accountable, ethical, and professional public service. We can see progress through the leadership of institutions like the Public Service Commission, the Auditor General, the Public Protector, and the National School of Government. And as part of the 6th administration, or the ANC 6th Priority Manifesto, we are working to build a better Africa and a better world. Much of our international engagements over the past 100 days have been about expanding economic diplomacy wherever our ministers have gone. From Comrade Lamola, from Comrade Pakstow, and others, they have been going around the world campaigning for economic progress in our country. And we've been making progress in opening up many other markets through BRICS and through AGOA and through various bilateral relations. So our commitment to making sure that we have a multilateral world is unchallenged. We will continue to do so. And we welcome the decisions that have also been taken by the United Nations to make sure that we reform the UN, particularly its Security Council. And we will continue, comrades, to advance the African agenda. And we will continue to ensure that we support the people of Palestine. In the next few days, we will be submitting our full case to the International Court of Justice in support of the people of Palestine against the genocide that is being committed to the people of Palestine, particularly in Gaza. We also, comrades, are concerned about the bombings that have been taking place by Israel in the nearby countries like Lebanon. And we call on the world to put pressure on Israel to desist from all these attacks that they have been leveling against neighboring countries. And we call for the immediate ceasefire that should take place, yes, in Gaza, and the release of hostages, and also making sure that humanitarian assistance does get through. Climate change continues to be a major problem, and some of our provinces here continue to experience it. The government of national unity has taken this task up, climate change, with a great deal of vigor, and we are going to make sure that we do protect our people, particularly those who continue to suffer from the disasters, climate disasters that take place. Now, comrades, 100 days does not seem like a long time, but it is a significant milestone to gauge whether we are moving in the right direction or whether we are doing things differently and with more purpose. Our reflections, the reflections that we are making at this point in time, that although our challenges are huge, there is collective commitment to working together to tackle these challenges. And those who say we should not be working together with others need to come forward with alternatives that they believe can work. And thus far, we have not heard of any better option or alternative. And that is why we will continue to work with the 9 political parties as the African National Congress in the government of national unity, because the government of national unity has brought about stability, political stability in our country, and it is giving a real meaningful promise for economic growth, where investors are beginning to look at our country once again with greater interest, both local and foreign investors. Because in the end, comrades, we need to work on improving our economy. There is a firm commitment to advance towards building a better life for all our people. The commitment to advance towards building a better life is also shared by many people who want to participate in the national dialogue. The idea of a national dialogue has now been broadly accepted. The national dialogue will be an important moment where we will get our people to participate through their various formations, be it political parties, religious organizations, traditional organizations, sporting organizations, cultural organizations, educational organizations, you name them. We will want them to participate in discussing the state of our nation and also in charting a way forward for South Africa. So we are looking forward to the holding of the national dialogue so that we can take South Africa forward. We should always, comrades, remind ourselves of the words of the great African freedom fighter, Amilcar Cabral, who would have turned 100 years if he had continued to live, when he said we must always remember that the people are not fighting or struggling for ideas, the ideas that are in your head. The people fight and accept the sacrifices demanded in order to gain material advantages, to live better, to live in peace, to benefit from progress, and for the better future of their children. So our people are not trying to fight for what is in the heads of leaders. They want real progress. They want jobs. They want to lead a better life. They want poverty to be obliterated in South Africa. They want inequality to come to an end. Bafuna ukuthi ukuhlupheka kuphele. Not lokhu okusengqondweni yakho. They want real things. Now, comrades, our country has entered a new era, and it is an important era. Yes, it's an era full of challenges. It is an era that is also full of risks, but it is also an era that is full of possibilities. As the ANC, we are determined to seize these opportunities to advance the needs and the interests of the people of South Africa. We are determined to advance the fundamental social and economic